Well, hello and welcome. Daffuroth here, and this is Resident Evil Village, or Resident Evil 8 for the PC. We finished the main game. Fantastic game. I still love it. I started messing around with Village of Shadows with New Game Plus stuff, and I was having a blast at the whole first part of the ambush. Honestly, that mode's designed for infinite ammo and so on and so forth, because otherwise you would just get destroyed. And I'm all for a challenge, guys. I really am. But not going into that with a fresh save. No way. But anyhow, that's for down the road anyways. What we're going to do today, we're going to go through the bonus material. And that's going to be we're going to start with the concept art. Now, this concept art is different than the tragedy of Ethan Winter's concept art. And so what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the concept art. We're going to go through the figures and then the movies that were in here. So, and then that will be the first part A. And then side B is we're going to start the Shadows of Rose stuff, so our DLC. And then following that, we're going to go ahead and do the I think I'm just going to do the Village of Shadows, maybe difficulty playthrough, and then do the speed run. So I don't know, we'll see how I feel. But for now, let's go ahead and start with the movies. And we're going to start with creating the village. Well, why don't we do this? Let's do the Village of Shadows full version.
Long ago, a young girl went with her mother to pick berries for her father who was hard at work. But the forest greeted them with a dark, cold silence, the bushes empty. Yet determined to find berries, the rascal broke free of Mother's grasp and vanished into the trees. Mother's worried cries faded fast as the girl ran on over vine, under branch, and into the forest deep. Feeling strange eyes upon her, the girl recalled Mother's scary bedtime tales, and her throat became bone dry. Then the Bat Lord appeared. He greeted her warmly and bit his own wing. "Come, child, quench your thirst," he said. So she drank the thick, dark blood and smiled with joy. Passing through a graveyard, menacing storm clouds loomed and the air turned bitingly cold. The girl shivered in her thin clothes. Then a dark weaver appeared, and with a click of his fingers crafted mist into a beautiful dress. "Come, child, warm yourself," he coaxed. So she clothed herself and smiled with joy. Across waters deep and ominous she went, hoping a boat she found would carry her home. But hunger's grip tightened and her heart grew heavy. Then the Fish King appeared and offered one of his many fins. "Come, child, eat your fill." So the girl ate and smiled with joy once more. Continuing on, she soon entered the forest's dark heart. Then an iron steed appeared, bearing a beautiful golden gear. The creature said nothing as the girl approached and snatched what she thought was another gift. The horse grew angry and summoned the other monsters. Terror filled the girl's heart as a wild wind rose about the beasts. Suddenly, a witch appeared, dark yet regal. "Gifts we gave, but more you took," she snarled, "so more in turn is due." In a blink, the girl was trapped inside a mirror. Her parents, though, had searched all day and at last arrived. With rampant rage, father fought the witch, while mother's loving touch shattered the dark enchantment. But The witch was strong, and father yelled, "Save our daughter!" So mother bore their child to safety as the forest was consumed. Even now, the burnt forest is a grim reminder of father's sacrifice. To this day, any child who stares too long into the charred wasteland will be haunted by nightmares of getting lost while picking berries.
All right. Then moving on to creating the Village of Shadow. Some of this here are in Japanese, so all right. All right, the level design of Resident Evil Village.
ヴィレッジでレベルデザインを担当している津田です。こちらでは本作におけるレベルデザイン制作について説明いたします。まずはじめに、レベルデザイナーとは体験を作り出す仕事です。実現したいコンセプトやビジョンをもとに感情が動くようなゲーム体験が得られるように空間・演出を用意する仕事です。ディレクターとのやり取りでコンセプトに沿って正しくゲームに反映されているかの確認を行います。バイオハザードの場合は怖いかどうかが大きな判断基準になるので、 怖さや緊張感が要求に達しているかの確認も行います。演出やゲームデザインを決めていく際には、非日常的なシチュエーションを没入感を持って体験してもらうために、丁寧な入れ込みの演出や説得力のある空間設計を行うことを意識しています。ヴィレッジで苦労した点としては、ホラーという限られた枠組みの中で種類の違う体験を用意する必要があるところです。ヴィレッジに限らず、バイオハザードシリーズのレベルデザイン制作においては、怖いものにアンテナを張っていて、怖がらせることに対して引き出しが多い人が向いていると思います。敵で驚かしたり、パズルでなるほどと思わせたり、様々な思考や感情を生み出すことが要求されます。ヴィレッジでユーザーに体験見てほしいシチュエーションとしては、いろいろな表情を見せる作り込まれた村を隅々まで体験してほしいです。恐怖を感じつつも住むといろいろな体験や発見があるはずです。
You know, I am actually glad that they did, rather than doing what they did in Resident Evil 7, like actually make the models and stuff, because like they look so much better. Like that old guy was impressive, like at the beginning of the game. She just looks down like, what the hell?
I don't understand why you are so...
What the hell? Mia, get down! What the fuck?
Sorry, Ethan.
A guy who's playing even looks like a dork. Sorry.
Take him away.
I said get your hands off her!
Ethan, no.
Oh, that's funny.
Because he is in my castle and has already proven too much for my daughters to handle. When I find him, I won't let you down. To hell with the ceremony! That man will pay for what he's done. Furthermore, I can assure you if you entrust the mortal with this task, my daughters will deliver the finest cups of his slaughter.
Aw.
Shut the fuck up! You mean you'll screw around with him in private, and where's the fun in that? Give him to me. Let's see what you're really made of. Ethan Winters. Let's see what you're really made of. Ethan Winters. Get ready. No, wait!
Man blood. Man blood.
That was cool. All right, well, that takes care of the movies. So they're going to go through the concept art. Let's start with here. All right, and we'll read the director's comments and go from there. So, concept art for the Winters. The original idea was to have Mia in a wheelchair due to the events of the previous game. Ethan's face is blacked out. Kind of looks like Markiplier. I don't know. At least right there. Rosemary Winters grown up. The concept art for the grown-up version of Rosemary Winters. She's wearing Ethan's jacket, which he wrapped her in when she was a baby. We wanted to create the impression of Evelyn's influence, so we included green in her key colors. There is also an idea that Rose would fight some of Ethan's enemies. Yeah, I like the way she looks. I like her sneakers too. Also, I like that emblem. I don't know. This looks cool. Chris Redfield. A few designs for Chris Redfield. Initial drafts of the story had him visit the Winters dressed in civilian clothes. The Hound Wolf Squad call him Alpha. The Mia that Chris shot was actually Miranda in disguise. When he loses Rose to her, he calls on his task force, the Hound Wolves, for backup. Honestly, the Chris in civilian clothes looks pretty good. Honestly, Chris in this game actually looks pretty good. He looks like an older version of like someone that would be from the 5 and 6 one versus the one that was in 7. These guys are cool. I would actually like to see more of them in the game or in the future. Let's see here. The Hound Wolf Squad. This is the first time Chris's elite squad makes the appearance in the Resident Evil universe. They were created to hunt the Lycans, and as such were named the Hound Wolf Squad. From left to right, Umber Eyes, a veteran sniper, K9, a young dog handler, Lobo, a machine gunner, Night Owl Communications, and Tundra, former undercover agent for the DEA. Like, yeah, I would like to see something more with them. Villagers 1. Character designs for the villagers that seek refuge in Louisa's house. From left to right, Leonardo, Elena's father, Elena, Louisa, and Lillian. Design for the villagers is based on a mixture of gothic and modern imagery. Outfits and hair from the 1960s were also used as inspiration. Yeah, her death was crappy, dude. The character designs for the other villagers Ethan meets in Louisa's house. From left to right, Sebastian, Anton's a dick, Roxanne, and the Hag. I remember the Hag being in Louisa's house. Designed for the merchant, the Duke. He was originally going to make his entrance with a runaway carriage and his horses running wild, but this was axed during development. The Duke grew on me. Let's see here. The parasite Cadu. These parasites are key to the story of Village and are used in the design for the village symbol, combined with 4 wings, which represented the 4 lords. The golden ring symbolizes the sun, space, as well as eternity. That suggests that the sun, soul, and everything that encompasses them do not have an end. The golden ring. Oh, okay. The parasite in the center is an ominous image which links the whole story back to Rose. The remains left when enemies are defeated were designed to look like ornaments. When their creatures perish, their cells turn into crystals. Kind of like how they just burn up in Resident Evil 4 and so forth. They have to turn into crystals in here. The crest of the 4 lords of the village, the Dimitrescu crest, is a flower with 2 swords, a symbol of feminine power. You can also see a cross in the center, which is associated with vampires. The Benevento crest is a moon and a sun, symbols of fantasy and reality, as well as the dark of Donna and the bright white of Angie. Maruse is a mermaid, although we wanted to create a very stark difference between the beautiful fish lady and the creepy fishman creature. Heisenberg's crest is a horse and a horseshoe, implying he's a strong, sturdy man. The horse was also based on the chess piece. Initial designs had each crest with their own book. At the center of the 4 crests is a symbol of the crow. Symbol is a symbol of crow feathers that looks like a lot like an umbrella. That's supposed to be crow feathers? Okay. Oh wait, I want to go back. I don't see how that's crow feathers, but cool. This is the basic design for the lichens. The concept behind them was primitive zombies, which was used to create a wild wolf man looking creature. We had a number of designs for the lichens, the most variety than any of the enemies in the series so far. The Varlak, a ferocious creature derived from a lichen. He can no longer see where its human hair ends and its animal fur begins. The fur on its human body has also turned white. Urias. Urias is the lichen's boss. He used to be the leader of the village. Now he's just a shadow of his former self. Urias Straller is his older brother. Elisa Dimitrescu. Similar to the villagers, her hair and clothes are based on 1960s new look fashion. Her design is based on the Japanese yokai Hasahu-sama, the 8-foot lady. Dimitrescu is also designed to be a vampire. She has 3 black roses close to her heart, which each represents her 3 daughters. Aww. Dimitrescu's daughters. From left to right, we have Bella, Cassandra, and Daniela. They each have a flower tattoo on their foreheads. And they're really just flies, though. The Morokai. The female enemies from the castle dungeons. Dimitrescu drains men of their blood and turns women into creatures to be her slaves. In fact, it might be hard to see in game, but all the enemies in the castle are females. Like, now it's pretty obvious. That wasn't a surprise. It was pretty obvious there. Samka. The flying enemies that appear on the castle roof, just like the Morokai. I can't say that. These 2 were once women who were turned into slaves. They used their long tongues to drink blood. Gross. Mutated Dimitrescu. Dracula, a motif for Dimitrescu, also means child of dragon, so we went for a dragon vampire design. We used her key colors of white and red and black combined with key elements found in the traditional Resident Evil monster designs. Her scales are actually her cells clumping together. Each of the boss transformations is a larger version of themselves, which for Alicia meant an unusually massive vampire with gigantic fangs. Notice in this one, she's not out the back of it. Honestly, that was kind of weird because it looked like she was like riding the dragon. I don't know. We also designed the way her human body is stored in her back. Oh, there we go. Also, Dimitrescu's enlarged cells grow hair like tendrils thanks to the parasite's influence. Donna Benevito and Angie. The puppeteer Donna and her doll Angie. Donna is dressed in black mourning clothes, while Angie is dressed in a wedding dress with flowers, each representing death and life. Angie's face is based on the same sun and moon motif on the Benevito's crest. Oh, I didn't notice that. That's actually pretty cool. Donna's face is also based on the same crest symbol with the scarred part of her face caused by the parasite. Her base concept is that she's a ghost. I would have liked to have known more about her, honestly. Donna's dolls, the Benevito family dolls, which Donna made. Let's see, the baby. Baby is a 2 to 3 minute old girl who's 5'10" tall and 7 foot 7 inches long. She was created from the doll of Mia. Her umbilical cord drags behind as she crawls, and she calls Ethan Dada. She can open her left eye with effort and will put anything in her mouth. I mean, it's kids in general. If she finds what she's looking for, she'll instantly eat it. She dribbles a lot and has no teeth, but her hands and feet look like a real baby's. Moreau made a crown for himself out of the bones of the villagers. He's also the most corroded by the parasite than any other lord. The concept behind his design is that he's half fish, half man, and we use a number of creepy sea creature parts while also conveying a very Resident Evil series style monster. But unlike most other transformed creatures in the series, he still understands and can speak human speech, a rare monster that can communicate. His brain has swollen into his back, which also sprouted eyeballs. His design was also based on the Japanese river Yokai Kappa. Interesting. You know, that's the size of his brain. Like she said, like his brain development's like super surprisingly low. Maru's mutated form looks a lot more like an aquatic creature. As each of the boss fights are giant versions of themselves, Maru is a massive mer creature covered with frog spawn looking eyes. He uses his large arms and legs as well as his giant fish-like body to swim. Mutated Maru in detail. This piece was used to visualize Maru's acid vomit attacks, as well as his humanoid body inside the mouth of his monstrous body. We tried to convey his creepy aquatic nature in each movement and each attack. Karl Heisenberg. Heisenberg's main concept is based on Frankenstein. We wanted to create a cool, gray-haired character who is a little rough around the edges. He smokes his favorite Cuban cigars. Dude, my only complaint is his voice just doesn't match him. That's it. Because he does look awesome. I would say, like, this game, you know what's funny is thinking about it, is this game reminds me a lot more of, like, Metal Gear Solid enemies. You know, if you played that series, you know what I mean. Like, it's like every of the you know, like the boss fights or characters are very are caricatures, I guess is the best way to describe it. And that's what this game kind of felt like. I like that though, so mutated Heisenberg. We went for the look that was the opposite of his human form, a giant mechanical monster, designed based on the idea that he uses scrap left scattered around the factory. His own weapons from tanks and planes, and has mountains of scrap for his mass-produced experiments. Which begs the question, how did he get them? Mutated Heisenberg in detail. The original design was based on the splendid royal moth caterpillar. We wanted him to look like he moved on treads and would be faster than any other boss monster. My only complaint with that boss fight, it was just hard to figure out where to shoot him, at least in the second phase. The Soldat Eins. We called these enemies drillmen for a long time during development because one arm is replaced with a drill. The idea for these enemies is that they have a reactor inside their chest with the parasite inside that acts like an internal combustion engine. The goggles are units that Heisenberg uses to control them. I like these enemies. I thought that was pretty cool. Like I said, very Quake 2-ish. We consciously created the enemies in the factory to be different so that they didn't just terrify players, but also created a strong sense of anticipation. This design was based on Western medieval armor and helmets. That's the Soldat Panzer. Was that the armored, the big guy? I think so. These guys were cool. The jetpack guys. Let's hear. Let's hear. Soldat Jet. We were really attached to the same jet drill during development. They use jets on their back and their heads look like fighter planes. This design is similar to the horseshoe crab. We designed the front and back with different amounts of detail so the back would be particularly shocking. The Strom. The propeller on his head is made from 3 chainsaw blades. Oh, I didn't even realize that. He chopped his own arms off when they got in the way of the spinning planes. There was one plan to have the Strom be Heisenberg's real father, and during development he was called Propeller Man. R.S. Trader? The parasite manifested differently in this creature compared to most lichens. We created him as a guard for the Megamycete. His final version was a giant mace rather than a hammer. R.S. is his younger brother. Well, I mean, yeah. A giant mace rather than a hammer. Yep, Pete sure does. Miranda. Mother Miranda's design is based on the concept of a crow queen. She's a religious leader who is after Rose and has the ability to mimic anyone or anything. The wings on her back are made from molds, so she has complete control over them. Her dress is old and worn, showing that she has ruled the village for a very long time. At the root of all evil in this game, you can see her likeness in the talisman used for the village. You can also see the crests of the 4 lords in her stole, further evidence of her rule. Oh, I see it. Huh. Mutated Miranda. The mold inside her body has overflowed and her mouth and skin are starting to crack. Her golden halo is now larger and more solid and is growing out of her spine. She has lived for a very long time and her age is finally showing. We didn't want the fight with Miranda to be like an event, but a challenging boss fight, so we went with a design where her human facade is still intact. Mutated Miranda flying form. Miranda uses a network of mold to access the genetic makeup of various living creatures that are stored in the Megamycete. She uses these to transform during battle. Mutated Miranda spider form. Miranda's giant spider-looking form. Yeah, it kind of reminds me a lot of like Parasite Eve 2. Even Parasite Eve 2, Parasite Eve 2 as in TOO, but as well as Parasite Eve 2, the sequel. The Picture Book 1. The concept for the picture book was based on pop-up books and chirigiri Japanese torn paper pictures. Dang it. I don't know what I'm doing. The key colors for the village are antique gold, metallic black, and snow white. All of these were used in the picture book. That is a cool picture book, I will say that. Picture Book 2. The concept of art for the family in the picture book were, of course, based on Ethan, Mia, and Rose. The girl's hair matches grown-up Rose's hair in the final version. Picture Book 3. The concept art for the Batlord in the picture book. The white on his fur was based on the Demetrescu, and the 3 black bats are based on her daughters. The vampire bat imagery is a hint that this is a connection to Dracula. The Picture Book 4. The designs for the Fish King and Dark Weaver are based on Moru and Benevito, respectively. Picture Book 5. Concept art for the Iron Steed and Witch are of course based on Heisenberg and Miranda. The scene in the book where the girl is taken under a full moon is the same as the game story. So I wonder if there's a parallel to the Lycan's transformation in the full moon too, because they do kind of show that at the end of the credits in the book. The father didn't start acting up, and they showed a full moon in the back. So, picture book 6, concept art for when the girl and her mother go into the forest in the picture book. Concept art for when the girl gets lost in the forest in the picture. Concept art for when the father and the mother go into the forest to save their daughter. Concept art of the father finding the witch and the mother escaping with their daughter. Mia and Rose. Concept art for the prologue of the village where Mia is reading the book, picture book to Rose. God, dude, that would be creepy having that, like a fetus on the front of the cover there. Mia's murder. Concept art for the prologue of Village where Chris shoots Mia and takes Rose. That's awesome. Concept art for the prologue Village where Chris takes Rose. This was created and used as a key visualization for the team during development so that they could get an idea of Ethan's perspective on events. Fight with the Lycans. Development of Village was a lot of trial and error, but it was always going to be a survival horror game. This was how the Lycans were created. View of the village. View the mountains towering above the village below. This was drawn on the first day of development. We wanted to create an impact different from the horror of being trapped in a house like Resident Evil 7. We used the tall overbearing mountains to give the game an isolated, haunted village feel. Yeah, they succeeded. It was pretty cool. Cabin in the woods. This concept art of the cabin was created to demonstrate to the entire team the level of rendering quality we were going for in the game. Windmill. A large windmill looms over a graveyard. Castle Gate. The gate connecting the village to Castle Dimitrescu. The relief on the gate shows a young maiden saving the village from a terrible demon long ago. Louise's House 1. Concept art for the fields leading up to Louise's house. The scarecrow is nothing special, but there are a number of goat bone constructs erected to ward off evil. Louise's House 2. The surviving villagers who have escaped the Lycan attack huddle together. Lycan territory. The Lycans are savage wild beasts, but we also wanted to convey that they are pack creatures. Getting the right balance of intelligence and nature in this image as well as the game was one of our biggest challenges. Cave Church. The concept art for Ethan's trial. Miranda and the Lords began to use the space for trials in the past to pass judgment on heretics. Dang it, dude. I keep hitting the wrong button. From left to right. Dimitrescu, Donna, Miranda, Maru, and Heisenberg. Their positions and mannerisms reflect their status and personalities. Vineyard. Concept art for the vineyard outside Castle Dimitrescu, which Dimitrescu uses to make her wine. You can see her daughters dragging a victim from the village into the church. The vineyard was pretty small. It would have been nice to have a bigger vineyard, honestly. But it's still pretty cool. 4 angel statues. Castle Dimitrescu is creepy but also decorated with alluring images, such as these statues. Dressing room. Concept art for Dimitrescu's dressing room. All of her clothes are either white or red. Tasting room. The tasting room under the castle where Dimitrescu's victims are drained of their blood, which she uses to make her wine. Dimitrescu under the castle. Dimitrescu looking around in her wine cellar as Ethan crawls through the tunnels under the castle. Collection room. A room filled with treasures and works of art. This is where the labyrinth was originally going to be located. I don't think that was actually ever in the game. The treasure room. Or collection room. Anyways, death mask statues. On the left is one of the statues with the angel mask. The right is concept art for the iron insignia key. The same insignia on the door. Yeah, they just like Dimitrescu and then her 3 daughters. And then draining someone of their blood. Hall of Abulation. The room where the 4 statues, the lady, the lord, and the servant, and the farmer stand. The lord bleeds the villagers dry of their crops, which he passes to the servant, who presents the final product to her lady. Ah, that's a creepy picture right there. This scene, let's see, Dimitrescu's chamber. This scene ended up being the phone call between Dimitrescu and Miranda. We came up with a number of designs for keys with the balance of Dimitrescu's crest within a feminine design. The final version was selected for his unique silhouette. Dimitrescu's door. The door was designed to match a pattern on Dimitrescu's key. The door with the clearest crest and the most attractive door frame was selected for the final design. Dimitrescu's claws. Dimitrescu uses her long, sharp claw-like nails to create havoc in the dungeons. Freddy Cougar. Castle rooftop. Concept art for the fighting flying enemies on the rooftop of the castle. Oh, I want a sword. See, that would have been cool. Tower of Worship. The final tower of the castle where Ethan fights Dimitrescu. This area was initially going to be used as a storeroom for the period weaponry. Assassin's Dagger. The knife used against Dimitrescu, which causes her to transform into a giant creature. The story behind his dagger is that it was once used by a man long ago to try and kill Dimitrescu. She sealed it away in a tower with his corpse because he was still a threat to her. The blade was the most unique shape with flower. The blade with the most unique shape with flowers was chosen for the final design. That was a cool dagger. It would have been cool to actually get that as a weapon later on. Foggy Valley. The entire area around House Benevito, where Donna and her dolls live, is covered in a thick fog. We were initially thinking of a scene where Ethan is chased by enemies across this rope bridge, spanning the valley back to the village. Yeah, I think it would have been cool. Have like a whole labyrinth thing there. I don't know. House Benevito's garden. Benevento's garden. Concept art for the garden leading up to the house of Benevento. Benevento's flower bed. A large flower bed with the giant gravestones in the center. Donna surrounded it with smaller graves and her dolls nestled between them. Donna used the yellow flowers to make people hallucinate and see visions. House Benevento. The look and layout of the house hasn't changed much since this concept art was created during early development. We took a lot of care into creating a high quality scene. It was pretty awesome. During early development, however, this was going to be a doctor's house and not a dollhouse. Donna was going to be the village's doctor, and Angie the doll never existed. We also considered giving Donna an incredibly dark past and have her family throw themselves off the waterfall. I think that would have been I would have liked to have more about her in general. So doll workshop. The room in Benevito's basement where the doll and meal is being made. The overall impression of the room hasn't changed, but Angie's design did. Thank God, because that doll looks bad. Dolomia. The Dolomia was always intended to be a puzzle similar to a Chinese puzzle box. As this was initially going to be a doctor's house, the doll was originally going to be a corpse that looked like Mia. Fishing village. Concept art for a scene where Ethan runs into Moru searching for corpses for his experiments. Windmill. How Ethan would get from the windmill to the underground was decided very early on. We wanted this to be a repugnant location, so we gave the view and layout of the area a very distinguishing atmosphere to match Maru. See, I would have liked to have seen this actually expanded upon, like the village and so on and so forth. I don't know, to give us an idea of what it was like before. But yeah. Meeting Maru. Concept art where Ethan meets Maru. You can see Heisenberg's factory far in the distance. The initial thought was that this would be a European fishing village, but this proved too difficult, so we decided to go with the generic flooded village instead. Windmill crank. The crank used to turn the windmill is decorated with the legendary sea creature, the Kraken. The sluice gate. We had the idea of water draining from a giant sluice gate, which meant we needed to design a flooded and unflooded area to go with it. The plan during early development was that Ethan would need to cross the sluice gate to reach the factory after collecting all the crests. Dude, I thought we were going to have to as well. So, like, I saw like a lot of ladders and stuff. I was like, oh, it's gonna be cool. We're going to run across that. Nah. Cave of paintings. Concept art for the scene where Ethan meets the hag. This is also where he gets the wind key. The Four Kings statues ruins. Statues of the Four Kings with the chalice in the center. These founders of the village once protected the chalice. Let's see who were the four lords, where did they come from, where did the chalice come from? Four Kings statues in detail. The giant's chalice placed on the dais. The design of the wind key is closely connected to the village crest. Gate to the ruins. To the right is the route to the Benevito's house, and through the gate is the path to the ruins with the Four King statues. Crossroads. A crossroad with a circular dais in the center signals a game opening up. The BSAA. We had this design left over from Resident Evil 7 with only a minor change to the emblem's logo. The hydration packs equipped on the back gives them unique design. The BSA are now a rotten and ruins organization who are using soldiers created with a new technology. The mill. This was once a sawmill that the villagers used, but now it's overrun with lichens who have turned it into their lair. Concept art for the lichens lair. Lichens have different intelligence and power compared to the zombies, Gandados and Magini. We wanted to create a setting that reflected this. Stronghold 2. Deep in the lichen layer, even early on, we wanted to fight in a tall open space. Bridge ruins. Concept art for the bridge to Heisenberg's factory. It was initially going to be just the side of the path leading to the Atelier ruins. Strum attacks. Strum chasing Ethan down a narrow corridor, destroying everything in his way. Giant cavern. This concept art for Heisenberg kicking Ethan down to the hole in a giant cavern underneath the factory. A casting machine which uses molds to create objects made out of cast iron. This concept for a puzzle was around since early development as a way to create a key. Foundry. This room was once only used for casting iron, but Heisenberg ended up utilizing it for his twisted experiments. The room links to the hidden engine room. Engine room. Engine room powered by giant pistons. Grinder shaft fight. A fight inside the grinder shaft. These were early designs for the Soldat jet. We originally imagined a space where they could freely fly about. That was kind of a pretty cool fight. Heisenberg's key. We went with a design that had a powerful looking horse just like the one in Heisenberg's crest. Concept art for the flow of events leading up to the battle with Heisenberg. We pictured Ethan falling into the pit around the dusk and returning from it to a dark, stormy night sky. The general layout of events didn't change much from early development. Concept art for the boss fight with Heisenberg. Even early on development, this battle was going to commence with a self-propelled artillery. The only difference is that in the final version, Heisenberg is not defeated using falling. The only difference is that in the final version, Heisenberg is not defeated using falling transmission towers. I mean, we didn't do that. Oh, it's Heisenberg is not defeated using. See, that would have been neat. Mutated Heisenberg Fight 2. We figured that Heisenberg's yard would be full of scrap and vehicles, which he used during the fight. Chris's section. A piece of concept featuring Chris Redfield. It was intended to depict a three-way battle between Chris, the BSAA, and the Lycans. See, that would have been cool. And actually just more of the Wolfhound Squad in general. Village consumed by mold. Mold slowly consumed the village under a blood-red moon as the ceremony reaches its climax. As Miranda starts her ceremony, plant-looking tendrils of mold begin to overrun the Lycans, and the village is thrown into chaos. The Megamycete. Chris finds a giant Megamycete in some ruins. Its giant clump of parasites which have grouped together into a disturbing shape. It is revealed that everything started here, with this being the center of the mold network. It has been spreading its roots for hundreds of years before Miranda found it and used its power to make herself a powerful leader. When Chris escapes the ruins, he finds Miranda's laboratory where the real Mia is also being held. Ceremony site. The concept behind this piece was Ethan's last stand. Here, Miranda, transformed into the hag, would use Rose in the ceremony. The mold tendrils have grown over the four king statues and look almost like wings. Mutated Miranda fight. Concept art for Ethan's fight with Miranda on a mold-covered ceremony site. We wanted to think about how the enemies in Village would look from a first-person perspective. Key visualizations like these were essential for picturing the gameplay. Mutated spider form. Ethan fights Miranda in her mutated spider form. And her flying form. Escape. Concept art of Ethan's finale where he and Chris escaped the village. However, Miranda, now absorbed into the giant parasite, goes berserk to stop Rose from escaping. She looks like the village symbol with the parasite and feathers. Ah, that never happened. Okay, that makes sense for the berserk mode. So Ethan was originally supposed to survive. Maybe not. Judging by that look there. Epilogue 1. Rose has grown up and reading the picture book her parents used to read to her when she was young. She has a bouquet of flowers for Ethan's grave. Chris gave her Ethan's jacket along with her father's ring. It's a treasured memento of a man she never knew. Well, she did know, just... yeah. She goes to Ethan's grave after watching a mother and child on the bus. As she talks to her dad at his grave, she spots a man who looks like a security guard. Alright, weapons design 1. From left to right, the handguns, the Lemmy, the V61 custom and pipe bomb. The V61 custom at the bottom is fully customized. Actually, it'd be a machine pistol. I don't know why it's like a semi-auto gun. Weapon designs 2. The pistol at the top of the M1851 Wolfsbane with a wolf engraving, which can fire 50 magnum bullets. Under that is the M1897 shotgun with an engraving of an eagle. The GM79 grenade launcher is at the bottom, the stock engraved with a horse. The F2 rifle is up top, the SYG-12 is under it. Both are fully equipped with their customizations. The sniper rifle is a French bolt action rifle. The M1911 is on the left and the fully customized version is on the right. Heisenberg's homemade weapon, a self-prepared artillery equipped with a recoilless gun. It also has a large engine with the supercharger. We ended up making the treads much larger in game than what we had originally intended. And that's it for the concept art. You also get an achievement for going through all those. All right, finding it. We have the figures. We're just going to go through these quickly. You know, there's Ethan, Mia, Rosemary, aww. Chris Redfield A. Okay. The Duke. The Hag. Lycan. Yeah, there was never any female Lycans. Lycan Large. The Varkolak. Arias. Lisna Dimitrescu. It's one fine specimen of a woman. Bella Dimitrescu. Cassandra Dimitrescu. And Daniela Dimitrescu. She's more of my my type. The Morokai. The Moro whatever. The Samka. Look at that. Mutated Dimitrescu. Donna Benavito and Angie. The Bebe. Moreau A. Moreau B. Mutated Moreau. Carl Heisenberg. The Hauler. Soldat Ines. Soldat Zue. Soldat Jet. Those guys were awesome. Soldat Panzer. Strum. Mutated Heisenberg. Chris Redfield B. Umber Eyes. K9. Night Owl. Lobo. And Tundra. I want more of these guys. The SAA soldier. The Mega Mycite. Arias Strager. Miranda. Mutated Miranda. Flying form. Spider form. Berserk form. I don't think we ever got this in the game unless that was what the very end was. Rosemary Winter's grown up. The Lemmy. Lemmy fully customized. It's a cool looking gun. The M1911, it fully customized with its grip. The V61 custom. It's interesting that they take off the actual arm guard. I can't think of what it's called, but compared to this one, because that's what's over the barrel is like a shoulder guard. But the M1897, this one is fully customized. Is there really any difference? I don't know, honestly. Oh, you know what it is? It's different trigger. All right. The W870 TAC. And that's it, fully customized. The SIG 12. That's fully customized. The F2 rifle. F2 fully customized. The M1851 Wolfsbane. Wolfsbane fully customized. The stake, which we haven't gotten yet. Stake fully customized. Ridiculous. The GM79. I kind of wish we could have upgraded that. The WCX. The Karambit knife. The USM AI. The Dragoon. Hand cannon PZ. The rocket pistol. So that's an actual real thing, by the way. Oh, can I get that in the game? Because if so, I'm totally getting that. Thor's Hammer, AW Model 02. And that's basically what we were using in Not a Hero. MA51, of course, Close Quarters Custom. HWS only, Hound Wolf Squad only. The GL7. Dude, they got some cool looking guns, though. The SA-110 Sniper Rifle. The PT Machine Gun. Heisenberg Self-Propelled Artillery. All right. Well, that is everything as far as all that goes. So yeah, in the next episode, we'll start the Shadows of Rose. So that's the bonus content. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next episode. Until then, stay safe. God bless. Okay. Bye-bye.